welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Michael Hong, President of Taycor Financial, and David Lee, CEO of North Mill Equipment Finance. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
It's great to have you both on the program. Michael, you've been here before, so thank you for coming back, man. And Mr. Lee, excited to hear about your career in equipment finance, sir. So for the people who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you throughout the years, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career to date in equipment finance?
Sure. I'm relatively new to the industry, believe it or not. My background historically, after graduating from Wharton, I guess almost 40 years ago, it makes me sad to say that. I spent the bulk of my early career in the investment banking industry, mostly doing mergers and acquisitions advisory. I then became a partner at a private equity firm that specialized in industries that I worked on as a banker, which was telecom, media, and technology. And then ended up being a portfolio manager at a very large hedge fund group, and then ultimately became the president of that hedge fund group that was merged into a publicly traded company called Fortress Investment Group. Subsequent to that merger, I saw opportunities in various asset-based lending and alternative investment areas and decided that those entrepreneurial opportunities could be interesting, and became involved with an asset-based lending and receivables factoring company called North Mill Capital. And in 2012, myself, along with an investment group, bought Equilease, rebranded it as North Mill Equipment Finance at the end of 2012, kept the existing management team from Equilease in place. That strategy at North Mill Equipment Finance was a little too, let's call it, concentrated in subprime trucking. And when the trucking industry went into a mini recession, nothing compared to what it's going through right now, in 2016, decided to make a change and became involved much more in that business on a day-to-day basis as opposed to an investor basis. Recapitalized the company in 2017 and 2018, brought on board what was then called Wafra Capital Partners, now Intervest Capital Partners, successfully sold North Mill Capital to SLR, and that company has now since been rebranded as SLR. But in conjunction with the recapitalization in 2018, I began dedicating 100% of my efforts to building North Mill Equipment Finance. At that point in time, the company had about 100 million of assets, originated just under 40 million. And we had a goal to build it into $1 billion company within 5 years. It seemed insurmountable at the time, but we did make that goal within the 5-year time period. By the end of 2013, we had over $1 billion of assets. And as of today, we are north of 1.3 billion of assets, and we expect to originate and fund roughly 600 to 650 million for 2024. As part of our growth strategy, we aligned ourselves with a number of strategic referral partners. And up until the Taycor acquisition, which will be announced this Friday, November 8th, we were 100% dedicated to indirect originations through referral partner relationships. And that includes not only brokers, but other funding sources. So if you look at our top 15 referral sources for 2024, they represented roughly about 74% of our origination volume. And of that top 15, more than 5 are other funding sources that you might even call competitors. Because of the way that we've approached it, other funding sources feel very comfortable referring transactions to us. But we also took capital investments and strategic investments in some of our affiliates. One of them includes Taycor Financial. We became attracted to that platform due to its tremendous reputation of integrity, technology, innovation, and a strong belief in that management team led by Michael Hong. And frankly, I consider Michael like a little brother to me. And I've really enjoyed working with him. And as Taycor has evolved over the last almost 4 years now, it became apparent that the best use of capital for our shareholders and our bondholders, and the best opportunity for Michael and his management team, was to be fully integrated into the infrastructure and capital base of North Mill, so that they could grow their business from what's roughly a $200 million a year business to hopefully a $1 billion a year business over the next 5 years.
Perfect. And thank you for sharing that. And, just looking at some of the assets that I think I want to say I had Mark on here maybe 18 months ago.
Yes.
So I know I asked him some growth questions and everything else, and I'm gonna have to bust his chops if this outperforms his interview, because we know Mark can be sensitive to some of that stuff. Um,
Mark's
so
been one of the gold mines that I've discovered over the last 6 years. He went from being a
well,
very good
well,
CFO to a world-class COO.
no, he's a phenomenal guy. I've gotten to know him more, but I think of acquisitions like Tom Lyle, in the last 6 months, and then you guys just brought on Blair. So you guys are truly building, a rock star platform there, and it's excited to, see where you guys are at, and more importantly, where you guys are going, the trajectory that you're on. So
Thank you.
thanks for sharing your background. Now I understand more about. I've heard Fortress in the past. Obviously, I mean SLR is a client of mine from a consulting perspective, so that's interesting. So there's a lot of things that you just mentioned there where I just learned for the first time. So thank you for sharing that, David.
Pleasure.
So Michael, I guess from a Taycor perspective, what's going to change with this acquisition, man?
Well, at the ownership level, our structure has evolved and will evolve to equip us with the resources needed to continue our growth and success. However, from our key executives all the way through our customers, partners, and vendors, our commitment remains unchanged. Our team will continue to deliver with the same dedication and service level people had come to expect, but now backed by a larger support base and stronger foundation to bring our mission and vision to life. Truly, David and his team are a stable of incredible talent. And as broker originators, when we first started in the first few decades, we got really good at originating transactions, but there's so much more to this business in capital structures, credit facilities, and onward into the capital markets that truly North Mill is second to none.
Yeah, I don't really see a lot of changes other than streamlining a lot of the processes. What we had in place with regard to our minority investment in Taycor, and we had a very large investment in Taycor, which was north of $35 million of equity capital that we provided.
Okay.
But ultimately, this business does require some level of scale because there's a large J curve component to building out the systems, the credit platform, the adjudication, the documentation, the funding, but most importantly, the capital raising. And until you get to a certain critical mass, you can't access credit facilities on advantageous terms, especially in a rising rate environment. So when we initially did the transaction with Taycor back in, I think we first started talking about it in 2020, and then I think we closed on it early 2021. SOFR, or back then LIBOR rates were at 0. And so during 2022, LIBOR / SOFR went up north of 5%. So a 500 basis point increase made those scale economies much more difficult to achieve because the net interest margin, or NIM, became much tighter. So we continued to fight through that with Michael and his team, but it just became more apparent as we gained that critical mass that we could take on the responsibilities of, let's call it the back office, and some of the technology platform and the office space and certain things that really go with managing the company, and was taking up a lot of time of senior management, and have them focus on their core strength, which is building out strategic vendor and B2B relationships to generate new deal flow. And by freeing up Michael and his team, I think we're going to unleash a beast here.
But I can definitely see that based on their skill sets and if they can take advantage of everything that you guys have developed over the years, David. I mean, that's definitely a recipe for success, right?
We hope so. Actually, I wouldn't say hope. We know so.
So David, I have a question for you. Being that the majority of your business before this acquisition was basically indirect, what
Mhm.
does this do for existing indirect relationships?
I don't think it does much because we've already had this relationship. I've sat on the board of Taycor SS Mark for nearly 4 years. And I don't think anybody out in the industry that works with us would have even noticed, other than they just heard rumors that we had a strategic affiliation with Taycor. So we thought,
Sure.
you know, and there are other companies that I will not name in our industry that have similar arrangements like what we will have with Taycor that don't like to admit it, but if pressed, they will. So we've decided to take an opposite approach, which is our philosophy is transparency builds trust. So we should just be transparent with folks. Now, if I'm working with, XYZ broker or referral partner, and we develop a partnership with, Acme Widgets, we're not going to turn around and say, hey, Michael, here are the terms of the Acme Widget deal. Go after them. We wouldn't do that.
Right. Right. Right.
And I know that that's always the fear that some of our referral partners would have. And there are others in our industry who have done such things, but I can absolutely assure our referral partners we would never do those things.
Sure. I like that phrase, transparency equals trust. Because like you said, there's a lot of behind the scenes things in this industry that we just know, but it doesn't really come out.
Well, I've been criticized for example, publishing our credit criteria, right? If you're a referral partner of ours, you can go to our broker portal and know exactly what our credit criteria is for pricing on card 1, 2, 3, 4, how we value the underlying collateral. And if you have the right personnel in place and systems in place, you can essentially self-adjudicate. And people say, well, why would you publish that? Your competitor's going to get it. I said, they're going to get it anyways. So let's compete on execution, not on secrecy. And ultimately, people want to do business with those they like and trust.
Same page. People are going to find out one way or another. So I agree. Throw it all out there.
Yeah.
Michael, from a Taycor perspective, how has this acquisition been received inside the walls of your organization?
Sure. Within the walls of Taycor, it's exciting. We've worked together with North Mill for the last 4 years. So in that way, the nice thing is the relationships have already been established. Now it's just about saying, when we execute, we can execute together. But truly, at the end of the day, North Mill's directive and approach to the market is generating business through third-party independents, indirectly from brokers, discounters, and other lending institutions. Taycor's business model will remain. We go after end users directly and vendors and dealers. Our technology platform remains the technology platform, but the powering of that and facilitating faster adjudications, more efficient capital, better programs, lower rates, wider credit latitude, all these things that our customers need and our partners want is what we'll be able to deliver now with this partnership with North Mill.
Thank you for sharing. I know anytime anyone hears the acquisition word, it can be like, uh-oh, what's coming? But this to me sounds like it's a great relationship all around for both parties. So
we also have history together in doing an acquisition, right? So we acquired Aztec Financial in September of 2021 from Aramco, which is a large distributor of cleaning and restoration and janitorial and sanitation equipment. And because of our indirect approach, we literally gave Taycor the sales reps and the relationship with Aramco. And we didn't even require them to place those deals with us. right? And so fast forward to today, 3 of our very senior officers at North Mill were former Aztec executives. And the core of the Aramco and also CNR sales force were Aztec employees. So, the vast majority of the folks that came with the acquisition over 3 years ago are still with us, and many of them have had very successful careers at North Mill and at Taycor. So we don't foresee, anything different here.
That's great. That's great. And congratulations again. And I guess David, from here, like, let's talk about the future of North Mill. You guys are what, 650, you said, this year. What do you? We're gonna be over.
Fundings?
We're gonna be
Yeah,
over
I think
a
we'll
billion
definitely
next
be
year.
north of 60. We put out a press release yesterday that we achieved a record month of over 73 million, besting our prior month record just 2 months prior of north of 56 million. And one of the challenges that we've had to face is replacing roughly 25% of our 23 and 22 origination volume that was focused on freight with other things.
Sure.
So it's satisfying to see that momentum and those programs that we've been putting in place with a lot of our key referral partners has kicked in. But we have a goal of growing from where we are today to 5 billion in 5 years, right? So as in terms of absolute numbers, that's a large goal, but as a multiple of where we are, it's actually a much smaller goal than our prior 5-year goal. And how we're going to do that is continuing to build out both our referral partner relationships. I mean, I don't know if I can statistically prove it, but we are the largest funder, independent funder at least, of referral partner originations. I don't think anyone's even remotely close to us right now. But we expect our direct division, Taycor, to be funding north of 500 million a year over the next 5 years. And we'll also be announcing shortly another new initiative, which will be entering into the true operating lease business. We are close to inking the final terms with an executive well-versed in that space.
Awesome.
And then our working capital business, we believe, will also be a $400 to $500 million portfolio business. And you've seen the various announcements from our affiliate Brightcap Financial. We brought on a new CEO 45 days ago, and in turn, he's brought on a number of key hires in the business development and operational areas from folks that he's worked with extensively over his career at Direct, Marlin, and Can Capital. But what you'll also see is developed over the next 18 to 24 months is a bundled offering of equipment finance with working capital.
Thank you for sharing that. 5 billion in 5 years. It's great. You have to tell Mark he's going to have to do more. And Michael, it sounds to me like, the 500 needs to go to 1 billion, man. I mean, might as well, right?
Well, in terms of assets, 1 billion, right? So the assets is generally roughly equal to a little over 2x annual funding.
It's fantastic. Michael, are you still running every day?
I don't run every day, but I did get back into jujitsu, so I do that a little bit more often these days.
Okay. All right.
Michael's
don't mess with that.
Michael's looking pretty buff. I'm not sure I want to go on the beach with him.
Don't mess with that guy. So Michael, it's like I said, I think it's been a year since I had you on here. Any new things going on with you, man, besides this acquisition?
Well, I think it really was why the acquisition, why now?
Okay.
We spent really the better part of the last year looking at the way the world was changing so quickly. We had just gotten out of 2022, which was the sharpest and steepest rate increase this country has experienced in decades, followed by really a significant reduction in available lenders and a decrease in lending appetite. It was a really scary time. And only a few strong lenders remained. And I think now more than ever, it's about building deeper, more resilient relationships. And so I think this is truly the beginnings of what I think is growth in the industry by those that are strong positionally to become stronger. So it really is great to be here again with David Lee and just talking about what the future holds.
Yeah, I mean, just learning about this now, you know, from the strategic perspective, I definitely understand how this whole thing comes full circle and why it makes sense for both parties. And sounds to me like there's gonna be no disruption whatsoever for your group. It's just gonna be, okay, you took a really good organization and just made it even better, which is fantastic. So,
Great.
so David, I got Michael's fun fact last time out of him. So I do ask people when they come on here, and I have to take advantage of it, sir, because you're on this program. What makes you tick outside of North Mill Equipment Finance?
I'm a pretty boring guy. I like to play golf. And in my advanced age, I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 3-month-old daughter, in addition to a 28-year-old, a 26-year-old, and a 7-month-old grandson. So as
That
I
is
jokingly
an
say,
interesting dynamic.
I've turned into Jay from Modern Family.
That is an interesting family dynamic, and I'm sure it keeps you young, though.
I don't know. Makes me feel old, frankly. Changing diapers. What are you gonna do?
No, no, but congratulations on that, though.
Thank you.
Not on the changing diapers thing. Like, hopefully that point of my life is past me. But anyhow, but you know, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today. You know, congratulations again on this successful acquisition, David. You know, Michael, excited to see what comes for you and the Taycor team. And will I see you guys next week in Indianapolis?
Yes, I will be at NIFA.
You'll see too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I'll be at the
Well,
next.
all right. We'll look forward to seeing you there. And thanks again, guys, for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care.
Jesse.
Thank you. Have a good day.